I am going to commit great crime. I'm going to bust nut in water tower.
Hey man, stay away from my water towers. Anyway, today we are painting some of the 3D printed terrain I did a while ago that I've been meaning to get around to. We want to do a nice red undercoat. As you can see, I like to very much spread the red around all of the underside of this. You can hear kind of the nice texture of 3D print in the kind of, it sounds like swiping, honestly. This is my first kind of attempt at long form content for this, and so make sure to let me know in the comments that you're enjoying the video. So you see we're using a generous amount of paints due to the texture of the prop itself. It will take a little bit of, let's just say filler to make sure it gets like the right look to it. I'm putting a generous amount here just to make sure that we got our full coverage of paint all around the model for when we do our next textured dry brush over brush of it. As you can see, the war paint red is quite vibrant. However, keep in mind that it will dry to be a little bit more of a duller red, as you will see in the pictures at the end of the video. So just to keep that in mind when you guys are painting big terrain pieces like this, it's always going to end up a little bit darker than you actually intend. So to just kind of keep an eye out for that to make sure it's not too dark. You hear the very loud noise in the background. That's my heater turning on. I forgot to try and get rid of that, but I apologize for that in advance. Anyway, so now we're moving on to trying to get those handlebars and all the little fine edges and kind of missed spots from our initial underbrush of the red. You can see there's a little bit of the black poking through, but we're just trying to kind of cover up and get full coverage onto our technical paint. I know this isn't how you're supposed to use technical paint, and those in the comments that are going to be harassing me, telling me I'm an idiot, well, you're right. So I just think that it gives it kind of a nice rusted texture is all. So really, I just think that it's just looks nice. Get the full coverage here along the edge. You can see the little chunks, and it just ends up in a really nice product at the end, even though I know this isn't how it's supposed to be used, so please be kind to me. As you can see, we want to try and get a full coverage of everything around, everywhere we put the red. The pipes and little kind of gizmos we'll address later, so just kind of hold off on that for now. You can hear my heater again. It is quite loud on a mic, but it's almost inaudible when you're just chilling at home. The fun and joys of not putting a noise gate on your phone mic as you're recording and painting with both hands. Super fun, I know. And so it's starting to look pretty good. Now we're going with a little bit of a watered down version of that same texture paint. I wanted to see if it would give kind of a more weathered look to it by thinning out the paint. And I think it did a decent job. I probably won't do this again, but now we're moving on to the gray here. So all the little metal fixtures along the water tower, I wanted to try and do an undercoat of gray, but I only did it for this because I ended up not liking how it looked and I didn't feel like going back and repainting it. So if you're following along with the video, I'm sorry, just do the silver paint. It ends up looking a lot better after we've applied our wash. So you just gotta make sure you gotta like kind of monkey it around, like, and just, you know, get a general kind of manhandling this water tower. You only handle a man's water tower with consent, so just keep that in mind. Oh, I dropped it. Anyway, so now we're kind of continuing on, making sure we get all the little details and everything, so we're not bleeding into the red as much as possible, but it can't be avoided at some point, so if you do, just kind of go over it at the end. I kind of cut that out because I didn't want to make the video half an hour long at 400 times speed, so I just figured I would just kind of get the basics down to show you guys what's going on. apologize about the heavy breathing as I am still sick. Super awesome. Fucking love that for me. But anyway, so now that we've got the silver paint, we go on to our handlebars. This was a little bit more frustrating than intended because, you know, it's just tedious work and it just, I want to get to the good stuff, you know? I imagine just like you guys watching this video. So I kind of went over the side, just made sure all the sides were visible. And as you can see, I did touch the red a little bit, but all right, now onto our strong tone wash. This stuff is pretty new to me. I used to make my own black wash, but I went to this instead. And I actually will say this ended up a lot better than anticipated. It gave it a nice little kind of old weathered look that I was looking for. And by dolloping it on instead of brushing, you don't mess with any of the paint from the previous layers. Especially, I would recommend letting your paints fully dry on the water tower before you continue on. I am impatient and wasn't thinking, and I did end up smudging some of the paint, but I went back and fixed it later. But the little droplets along, you just kind of do what you're doing like you see here and just kind of dab it on, just because you don't want it to be a consistent look. You want it to look old and like it's been through a rough Thursday night. Along the metal fixtures, this is the most important part here, is just making sure the metal looks old and rusted, and then we can kind of get ready to put on our goop. All right, goop handed, we are just kind of going along the base of the water tower. As you can see, I did mess up a little bit and got some glue on the water tower, but that's just because I was in a rush and didn't really feel like noticing it at that time. So we got our bag of rocks, or box of rocks, sorry, that rhymes better. See, this is why you let your things dry. As you can see, some of the wash hadn't completely dried, and it managed to get some of the flocking to stick to it. So I noticed just there, I tried to brush it off, but I had to wait till it dried before I could really get it off there. Anyway, just kind of put it around the base. Ends up looking really nice. I honestly really like this project, and if you guys really like it, make sure to like and subscribe and tell me what you'd want to see next, because, you know, I just want to please you, baby. Anyway, if you're interested in more live content, I'd recommend checking out my Twitch. It's where I'm most active. Talk to you then.